What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I am very excited to be diving into BT10 with you all. This is a format that I have been looking forward to. There is quite a few decks that I have been looking forward to finally testing out, and so now, after getting some testing in, I wanted to bring a deck that I was the most excited for, which was a deck that was focused around the Sakuyamon Maid mode and the Venusmon. Now, through testing, I kind of went away from Venusmon more and kind of focused more on the Sakuyamon Maid mode, and so I'm going to show you the list that I have right now, but I do think this list is pretty decent into the format right now. It can be very strong. The Rise X combo is very good. The red package is very strong right now. Crimson Blaze, very good. The Sunrise Blaster obviously is an insane card, especially with the Tamer lineup that we have, but let's go ahead and start getting on into this list, and we will break it down one by one. Alright, so to start off the list, we are going to be having just 4 of the Digimon here from EX2. When you have a Guilmon, you get to draw one when attacking, which is great because our main rookie here is going to be the Promo Guilmon, which has when attacking trigger draw one itself. So you get to draw 2 with this combo, essentially. I like the red base, so that way you're more consistently able to play these really strong red options, and I think Guilmon is just a really good card to put at the bottom. It gives you a lot of draw. There's sometimes in the early game where you really need to get some draw, so when you're able to see Guilmon turn 1 and then promote out and be able to draw 2, it really helps out the early game a lot. Be able to get those tamers, start finding your hybrids, whatever you need, so I really like Guilmon. But we are playing a couple other rookies in the 2 Solarmon. This is mostly for the Digicross, whether you're playing Cross Art, you're playing Blue Flare, whatever. Being able to stick this on the board, and they either have to pass turn to remove it if they're not playing a Memory Tamer, which some of these Cross Art decks are not if they're not playing like Tai, and so you can kind of choke them with this. But I think it's just a card where it's not super crazy, but Cross Art can be a little bit weird of a matchup. It can be semi-difficult, so the Solarmons really help slow them down. As soon as I put them in, was testing the matchup, they instantly felt good. They might be not as good in a couple matchups, and they don't work as well with our Digitama, but still being able to, if you just don't have Guilmon and you just want to put Solarmon in Raising just to cycle and then be able to promote it next turn and get a swing in, that's going to work just fine. So regardless, I really like the Solarmon. Then getting on into the champions, it is just fairly simple. We are going to be playing yellow hybrids, so we have the 4 Kazemon and the 4 Zephyrmon here. Really not too much to say about these. We just want the hybrids. These are the only hybrids that we have, but we want to maximize on them because we are playing a bunch of tamers, and so times when you don't have your hybrids is pretty rough. So we're just keeping it fairly standard in the champions. Now to get into the ultimates, we are going to be playing 4 Rise Greymon, 3 Yellow Rise, and then 1 Red Rise. Now I wanted 1 Red Rise because the Inheritable is very nice, and 2, you don't get on plays from the Yellow Rise when you use the effect, but when you Digiburst with Rise Greymon, you do get the on play, which can be very nice with Zoe and TK, and so I decided to go with the 1 and 3, but Yellow Rise is very great. You can Digivolve, just get a Tamer out, which it doesn't matter if you're playing something like TK Kari, or if you're playing Tai Kari, and then you also get Security Attack +1, and when you're having a deck like this, you need some sort of higher aggression, and this Rise Greymon is what's going to give it to you, whether you go up into an Ultimate or a Mega, or you go up into one of our Rise Greymon X antibodies, which we are playing 2 of, and so this is going to help you play out more Tamers. It's going to be a mini Shine Greymon, essentially, and then you can get the Security Attack +1 if you have 3 yellow Tamers out, without having to go up into a Mega, and then instead you can just Digivolve for 1 into Rise, play the Tamer out, delete stuff, get the swings in, and then to finish off the ultimates, of course, we're playing the 1 Jet Sylphimon. Now this deck would operate so much stronger if this was still at 4, obviously. Most yellow decks would, but we can only play it at 1, but we still won it. The recovery is very nice. Being able to Digivolve for 1 into an Ultimate, so that way you can get up into a Mega faster, is also just very nice. Jet Sylphimon, just an extremely strong card. Now with the Megas, just 3 Sakuyamon Maid mode and then the 1 Venusmon. So with Sakuyamon Maid mode, we do have multiple options that we can play off of this, and we will go over these. But the main one is Sunrise Buster. So you're going to be able to Digivolve into the Maid mode. You're going to be able to play Sunrise Buster, play out a Tamer, hopefully delete something, most likely delete something, and then the Sunrise Buster goes on top of your security, so that when your opponent swings in, it comes out, you play another Tamer, and then you delete something. It's a very, very strong combo, being able to play Sunrise Buster and then recover Sunrise Buster, which is already an insane recovery. Like, you can play other recovery megas that just recover 1 from top, but this lets you recover a very, very strong card, whether it's going to be Sunrise Buster or Holy Flame, and then put it on the top of your security so that your opponent has to then get through it again. And in Sunrise Buster's case, it is going to give you value because of the being able to play Tamers out, being able to get out TK cards, being able to get out Tie-In cards, being able to get out whatever you need to get out. I love Maid mode. It is just such a good top end. There are other top ends that you could play in here, like in the last format you were playing the BT5 Sakuya, you're playing Shine Greymon, stuff like that, but I just think Maid mode goes so hard. You're able to Digivolve for 2 on top of a level 6, so that means you can Maid mode on top of Maid mode, or you can Maid mode on top of Venusmon. So this card, this is my favorite card of BT10. I think this card is super insane. I wanted to just play a deck that really got to utilize this to its fullest, and this card is just so broken. Then we have the 1 Venusmon. So Venusmon is like Skill Drain in Digimon. When Digivolving, all your opponent's Digimon gain security attack -1, and then on your opponent's turn, your Digimon with security attack, so that means whether they have security attack plus, security attack minus, they are not going to be able to get their when Digivolving or when attacking effects. Now, one thing to notice, talk about like when it says security attack, let's say I give you security attack -1, but you have a security attack +1 inheritable, so now you're neutral. You are still under the influence of security attack modifiers, so even if you have -1 and +1 and they neutral out, you are still under the effect of a modifier, which means that your when Digivolving and your when attacking effects aren't going to go through. So Venusmon, I just like this because if your opponent goes wide, you can just slow them down by going into Venus and then giving them sec minus, and then you can go Maid mode on top. But you can extend with Venusmon. There are a lot of decks where if you get Venusmon out, it can shut them down like super hard, such as Jessmon, Bloomlordmon. Those can get really hurt by not having their when Digivolving and when attacking style effects. But one of the other options that we are going to go through is Holy Flame, and Holy Flame works really well with this because you can go Venusmon, and then when they pass back, you can use Holy Flame to then extend its effect back into your opponent's next turn, so that way you could just kind of slow down their big stacks if you're not able to remove it. I was playing Venusmon at much higher of a count, but I think in this specific build, Venusmon is more of just a tech card. It still worked really well. I was testing the BT5 Sakuyamon over this, as well as Ophanimon, and Venusmon just felt better. It has such just a unique effect, and it's something that's going to take a little bit for people to kind of prepare for. So in the early meta, I think Venusmon is just super strong. And then to finish off the Digimon, we're just playing 1 Death Xmon. It's just insanely strong. You're playing a deck that can go for the later game because you have recovery cards, you have a lot of removal cards, you have Holy Flame, which can stall for a turn or whatever. So your opponent in this format can play a lot of Tamers out. If they're playing Cross Art, they're going to play out a lot of Tamers. You can get a Death Xmon. If you're playing Bloomlordmon, they're going to play a bunch of things out. Whatever it is, Death Xmon is just very strong in this deck. I just didn't really see the room for more than one, and in testing, it just didn't really feel like you needed more than one. It's just a card where when you go late, you're going to be able to play this for free, probably clear a pretty good amount of stuff, and then you're just going to have a really annoying Digimon on the board, but you need more room for everything else in the deck, so I just like it at the 1. Now, getting on into the options, we'll go through our 3 red options first. So we're playing 3 Crimson Blaze. Crimson Blaze is insane in this format, being able to delete all 6k or less DP, and then your opponent can't play Digimon by effects is really good. There's just a lot of boards that can go very wide, and you can delete with 6k DP, but also stopping your opponent from playing effects can be very good. Minervamon, Bloomlordmon, these decks want to play things by effect. Imperial Dramon, if you want to go back into previous formats, there's so many decks that want to play things by effects, and so being able to shut this down is very nice. And then when you play it from hand, you reduce by 1 for each of their Digimon, so you can play this for 1 cost essentially, and then just clear out 5 Digimon on the board. And so the card is very strong. One of the main reasons why I wanted to play red in this style of deck and have it more consistent than just the Taikaris is this card just is very powerful. Then we're playing 1 Fireball. A lot of other decks will probably go up higher than this, but I don't think it's that necessary. I mostly just like it for the same reason why this could be Blade of the True to a degree, where I just like it because it draws cards, but it can also delete a 3k or less DP, which can be annoying at times. If you have a Floodgate out, or just something that you play out a rookie that I don't want you to build on, or you play out a red Vegemon, I want to pop it, whatever it is. It can be nice, but it's mostly just because it says draw 2, and that's what I want it in there for. Then to finish off the red options, we have the 4 Sunrise Buster, of course. This is kind of the main card that we're wanting to use off of Maid mode, be able to put it in security, play out our Tamers, but it's just, this card is very strong with how many Tamers we're playing. You can clear giant stacks out, and when you can do that while also playing Maid mode to clear it, put it on top, it's just such a crazy combo. Sunrise Buster is a card that we're going to see a bunch of this format because of how powerful it is, so it's really no surprise that you'd play it in a deck like this, but I wanted to maximize it because you don't have a lot of really tall removal with the Crimson Blaze, but the Sunrise Buster can just DP minus for so much, it's crazy. Then we got 1 Reinforcing Memory Boost. Just can only play it at 1 because of restricted, but the card is so powerful. Being able to add a card to your hand and security, choose which one it is, and then gain 3 memory off of delay. This card is just an auto pick. And then to finish off the options, we are going to be having 3 Holy Flame. I think this card is just very strong in the current format right now. Being able to play this off of Maid mode is also a really good option if you don't have Sunrise Buster, because you can give security attack -3 to a Digimon and then put it on top of security. So if they have sec -3, they can't swing in, and then later when they are able to swing in, top check will be Holy Flame. They'll get the sec -1 Ice Wall effect, which will really slow them down. It's also just really good versus decks like Crossheart and Blue Flare because they want to go for these like multiple things like X4 Turbo, but if you give them security attack -1 when they swing into the first check, then they can't go in as much. If they have tie out and they get the sec +1, then they're only swinging 1 check opposed to 2 checks, which even slows them down even more. So Holy Flame, I think, is just really strong into the format right now, and that's why I wanted to play it at a higher count. And yeah, just highest consistency, but there's only X amount of room. I think if you wanted to play a 4th one, you'd probably just cut the Fireball. That's kind of where that slot is. But like I said, I like the Fireball because it can delete something smaller while also being Cycle. It's a little bit versatile, but if you wanted to play the 4th Holy Flame, I would cut the Fireball. Alright, last but not least are the Tamers, starting off with the Tai Kari. I think this card is just very strong. There are going to be matchups where you play against slow matchups where you do run out of eggs, which means that you do need a red source to be able to play out these options. So this does complement that, but I just think this is a slightly more consistent memory gain than TK Kari, because let's say you and your opponent are both at 3 security. You'd gain nothing from TK Kari, but you'd gain 2 from Tai and Kari. And it gives you, I think, a little bit better of an effect when suspending, because you're going to be able to get -2k DP to your opponent's security Digimon. So let's say you go into Rise X, clear something, and then swing in with sec +1 because you have the yellow Rise inheritable. You can tap 2 of these Tai Karis, give -4k to your opponent's security. That plus the DP gain that Rise X gains, pretty good chance you're going to live those 2 checks. And then if you cleared whatever's on the board, you have a much higher chance of being able to survive going into next turn, which you'd then be able to swing again, suspend these again, rinse and repeat. I just think it helps keep your Digimon on board, keep your aggression going. So I think this card is nice. I was playing it at 4. It felt a little bit clunky, and I just didn't feel like I needed to play that many Tamers. So I ended up cutting it down to 3. Don't really see any difference from playing 3 to 4. So this card is just very good, but I don't think it's as key to where you'd need to play 4 since we are playing the red base. If we weren't playing the red base, you would obviously auto play this at 4 just for the red source alone, but in this build, just a solid card. Next up, our memory tamer is going to be TK. I'm playing 4 because it just really helps curate your security. Zoe can grab out the hybrids, which is very nice and very good, but you want to grab out other things like Rise or your Megas, or even you could grab out like Holy Flame or Sunrise Buster if there's nothing else in security that you want to grab, and then you can play them off of Maid mode and put them back into security while also being able to get their main effect. And so you can do stuff like that, but for the most part, I just like being able to just get things that aren't going to be security triggers and that are going to be better in my hand out of my security, put them in my hand, and hopefully recover in something else that's going to be a little bit better, while also, if you don't have Zoes out, then you don't a lot of the times want to put hybrids on top of your Tai Karis or TK Karis. So when you have multiple TKs out and you don't have a Zoe out, you can go on top of one of the TKs and it's not going to be that big of a deal because you still have another memory tamer out. So it just gives you a little bit better options. But I think TK, you could play at 3 and I don't think it would change that much. But just for consistency reasons, I just like the 4. Now we got 2 TK Kari. This card is just a classic. It's been so strong since it ever first came out, and I think it's a little bit awkward in this format because you're playing a slightly control-y style deck with a little bit of recovery that is going to be in a metagame where people can get very aggressive. So sometimes you're going to be ahead in security, sometimes you're going to be behind. I just find it sometimes to be a little bit inconsistent, which is why I liked the Tying Kari a little bit more. But this card is still just so very strong that if you are in a position to where you're going to have less security, you can just keep gaining a bunch of memory. It is very nice. The secondary effect of being able to give -1 KDP is okay. It doesn't come up that often. You can pair it with the Rise Greymon inheritable, the Red Rise Greymon inheritable, to be able to delete some rookies and stuff. But it is nice to have, but we're mostly just here for the potential memory gain. And then to finish it off, we got the 3 Zoe, and this card is just very strong. You want to get your hybrids out of this list. If Jet Sylphie's in there, you want to get it out. Early game, you want to play this to try to find something like a Kazimon or a Zephyr so that we can start to build up into a Rise and start to get some more stuff going. I just think this card is very strong. It's your main hybrid target as well because you get the inheritable of opponent's turn plus 3k DP, which does come up at times, especially if you pair it up with the Zephyr to get that plus 6k DP. That can definitely start to make it so people who get up into big DP stacks like Jessamon, you could potentially contest them and have them get deleted in battle. So this card is just overall very strong, great to play out off of things like Sunrise or Red Rise, stuff like that. And I think it's just an auto include in a deck like this. But that is going to be the list. This is the Maidmon, Venusmon, Rise Greymon, Yellow Hybrid. That's the official deck name, deck list profile. So if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, and please let me know down below what you think of the list, what you like, what you didn't like, what you would change, because it is still very early in the format. I mean, it hasn't even come out for us yet, so lots of changes could be made, but I would love to hear your opinions. But I will catch you all next time. I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace out.